Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. I'm Ruth Shelley, President of the Rotary Club of Portland. Welcome to our live weekly membership meeting. As our banner says, Rotary opens opportunities to find solutions for today's challenges. Healing from the pandemic, recovery from the economic downturn, and peace building as we seek racial justice. Today, we have the honor of welcoming someone who can help us open all three doors, District Governor Joe Crenshaw. But first, to begin our meeting, let's welcome Rotarian Jackie Carroll for our reflection. Jackie?
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jackie Carroll. And this has always been one of my favorite quotes, and I feel like it's fitting during these times, and I always find it inspiring to read. Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for status quo. You can praise them, disagree with them, quote them, disbelieve them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing that you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They invent, they imagine, they heal, they explore, they create, they inspire. They push the human race forward. Maybe they have to be crazy. How else can you stare at an empty canvas and see a work of art, or sit in silence and hear a song that has never been written, or gaze at a red planet and see a laboratory on wheels? While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius, because the ones who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And that was an Apple campaign by Steve Jobs.
That's wonderful, Jackie. Thank you. We will strive to see genius. And of course, if any of you would like to give the reflection at an upcoming meeting, please don't hesitate to let us know. Now, welcome any virtual guests. At this time, I'll ask you to introduce yourself in the chat box. Thank you for tuning into our weekly meeting. Also in the chat box, you'll find a link to guest registration. We're eager for you to fill it out so that we can stay in touch. And in case you haven't noticed, it's August. I would like to extend a happy anniversary to everyone who enjoyed Rotary Club of Portland in August. As you know, we're alternating each week, honoring birthdays and Rotary anniversaries for the month. Please note the names of these anniversary people and reach out to one of them with a call or an email, since in-person celebrations continue to be limited. It's a small way for us to stay connected. And I'm going to do a special shout out to Phil, 30 plus years, Phil Levinson. Thank you so much for being with us for all that time. Now we're going to enter a virtual table talk. In a few moments, all of us will disappear from here and then reappear in a virtual room with just a few other Rotarians. The Rotarians in your group will be at random. If you don't know each other, please introduce yourselves. A minute or so before you come back to this main meeting, you'll get a visual heads up. And although you never have any trouble finding things to talk about, I'll suggest a topic for your breakout room. Please share with your fellow Rotarians one unique thing you did for a vacation break during this summer of limited travel. So here we go. Welcome back. After our speaker today is finished, if you'd like to ask District Governor Joe a question, please enter it into the chat box and I'll call on you to ask your question. When you're called on, Maria or Corinne will unmute you, but you may also see a request to unmute yourself before you begin speaking. And now, please welcome past President and current Assistant Governor, Rotarian Chris Ackerman, as today's Chair of the Day. Chris?
Thank you. Am I on? Am I verbal? Okay. It's my pleasure to introduce Joe Crenshaw. Joe is our current district governor, having taken over from Diane Noriega. She grew up in the Midwest, and her initial career was working for the airline industry. And then at some point while she was working in Oregon, she switched careers and took on the challenge of managing a fast food outlet. And as she described, it was a unique opportunity because the particular outlet had deteriorated to the point where it was not functioning well. And so she was given this opportunity in the form of a challenge. And while she was getting that going in 1991, she joined the Rotary Club of Oregon City as a way to make connections in the community. And the rest, as they say, is history. So please welcome Joe Crenshaw, our current district governor.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. I am Joe Crenshaw, and I am your current district governor for the year 2020 and 2021. Now, as I began this trek of your district governor, I had no idea that I would be coming to you full swing from my home by way of virtual, talking on a system. I thought I would be at your club enjoying the fruits of our labor, nice wine, nice food, nice conversation, nice projects. But I'm taking on this challenge with eyes wide open. And as I can say, and as I talked to a few of you earlier, it has been much more than what I had anticipated. Now, if I were going out and traveling, I would probably be about maybe 5 to 6 clubs that I would have talked to. But because we are lodged pandemically inside of our lodgings, our homes, our offices, I'm able to see many more of you, and I'm able to visit with many more of you. I'm able to bring you our message for the year. And as our Rotary International President, Holger Connacht, has said, this is the year where Rotary opens opportunity. We had no idea that the opportunity would be, how do we communicate and how do we get our messages out to our clubs being sequestered? Well, a couple of days ago, I call it being in prison, but I've been able to work myself away from it a little bit by doing the meetings and then going out for a walk. But what I want to tell you is that it has been a change in venue, a change in opportunity, a change in the way we're doing things. We have new leaders, new ideas, new ways of doing things. And our meetings with our Rotary International President has indicated that we have to take and seize this opportunity and really make a difference with what we have. Rotarians are at work. Rotarians are people of action. Things are forever changing in Rotary as they are in this world. So what we want to do as a district is to continue with the old, but provide the new to help to move the system forward. Now, as your district governor and an officer of Rotary International, it is my responsibility and it is my duty to further the objects of Rotary by providing leadership and supervision of clubs in this district. And as I say, leadership, we're not here to tell you what to do. We are here to help you to achieve the goals that you want to do. And as we talked about previously, there are no books to handle a pandemic. Not for me, I wasn't around when the last ones were out there. But we can make our own book. We can make our own trek. We can decide how we want to handle the things that are going on in this world right now. Our leadership team, consisting of Jim Boyle, District Governor-elect, Steve Williams, District Governor nominee, and our immediate past District Governor, Diane Noriega, all of our assistant governors, all of our committee leads, all of our past district governors, and all the members of District 5100. We're all working toward the plan that we've developed a strategic plan that we update regularly. Every year, we are working from a plan that we have set aside about 3 to 4 years ago. And what we are doing is massaging it, making changes, and really focusing on where we want to go as a district, where you want to go as a district. And we set aside 4 priorities. And those are the same priorities that have been around since some of the past district governors have been around. They are, number 1 in Rotary is to rid the world of polio. And now we can say rid the world of polio and the infectious diseases that are out there. We want to be those people that are out there helping to move the world forward. We can't do it by ourselves, so they are all a conglomeration of teams and individuals that will help us to do that. We want to focus on growing our membership, not necessarily in numbers, but we want to be able to strengthen the clubs, provide them with information as to how to add diversity and strength to your clubs, how to create new ways to serve Rotary, how to support the innovations and the flexibility of clubs. That's how you grow. And as President Holger has indicated, you can't just add members 1 year and then the next year they all leave. What we have to do is find a way, and Rotarians know how to do that. Find a way to keep these individuals, how to help, let them help us to grow Rotary, to function as a change maker for the world in peace and in the inequities that we see. And we have talked about a few of those in our last meeting when we were talking one-on-one. We want to be able to increase the impact of Rotary, both locally and globally. And how are we going to do that? We're going to select projects that support the 6 areas of focus in Rotary. And now we have a 7th one, which is our environment. We want to look at how we can get that going in our clubs, in our district, and around the world. When we say increase our impact locally, what can we do about humanitarian service? What can we do about helping the poor, the sick, the homeless, locally and globally? How can we join programs that will help to alleviate some of the ills that we see as Rotarians? Now, when I first joined Rotary, I didn't join Rotary because I knew what Rotary did. I was thinking of what Rotary was going to do for me. As I bought that new restaurant, and it was a dump, I would truly say, and if anyone knows about it, they will say, yes, it was. But I immediately took charge, and I immediately asked for the help of the community because I had joined this organization that, you know, quite frankly, I didn't know what it was. But I learned immediately that there were people of action, the people that cared about one another, people that shared their thoughts, people that wanted to help, that come by and help to repair a water main that was broken, help to move a computer from the sink area into an area where it would be dry. Needless, I didn't know that all that kind of stuff was going on, but there were people there to help. And that's when I found out that Rotary cares. Then I remembered back as a child that I came from a family of 16, and I was number 13. And my mother and father farmed the land where they sharecropped. So the food they made, they gave to other people. They shared lunches with the high schools. They prepared these meals without any help from anyone. They worked, they got it, delivered it to the schools, delivered it to the neighborhood. And what came out of that was my sense of careness, in the sense that my mother cared about that. She died at an early age, but she invoked in me that sense of careness. And so when I joined Rotary, even though it wasn't for necessarily the right reason to remain, but I joined it because I needed help in developing my business. But when I stayed in Rotary because I saw the good that Rotary was doing, and I saw the things that were happening in the community around me. And it was not necessarily an economically area that was really high end. It was people who were struggling too. And I remember opening up my restaurant a couple of days, and we'd bring in the families and you order what you wanted, nothing asked. You didn't have to leave anything. If you didn't have any money, we would support you. And I did that for a couple of months, and it developed a really good support system because people would come by and say, that's the lady that gave my kids those cookies that day. And I got a name being known as the cookie lady, but that disappeared because I stopped giving away cookies. But it was a fun situation, and it also helped me to understand that you can give and it comes back to you. When you're in Rotary, you give and it comes back to you. We must make sure that we are making Rotary, making folk aware of Rotary in our communities. One of the things we are focusing on this year is improving our brand relationship. How can we get Rotary's name out there? When you're out doing your projects, when you're out visiting areas, when you're going on trips, do you wear your arches? I'm sorry, you don't wear your arches, I hope not. Do you wear your pins? Do you also understand when people ask you, what is Rotary? Not this big organization in Evanston. Rotary is what Rotary does. Rotary gives to the poor. Rotary helps to alleviate hunger worldwide. Rotary is helping to ensure that polio is demolished, eradicated before the end of our years. We want to talk about that. We want to be able to promote that. We want all of our clubs to be able to share in what we are doing. We're going on the website. I'm doing a couple of podcasts on what we call Coffee with Joe, a cup of Joe. And it's 3 to 5 minute segments about what Rotary is. And it's good for the clubs to know some of the things that we are doing that they might not have heard about. But we're also opening up information so that we can make sure that we are educating our members through the clubs on what is out there. What can you find about Rotary that you don't know? How can you get the answers that you need? Who's going to prepare for it? So we are trying to this year to open up Rotary. We have a good start because we haven't been able to travel. I'm not traveling out anywhere until I understand that it is free from any injury to our club members, to the communities, and to ourselves. And that's the directive from Rotary International. As I said, we're looking at training, leadership. Our club presidents need to be supported in that manner. One of the ways that we've done this, and we started doing this, we put on a district training assembly in 3 weeks' time, made it all virtual because we were told by the school system that we could not bring in 300 to 400 members into the school and pass along diseases that they realized was coming on board. But we did a complete about face, went ahead, and the training team led by Renee Browse and Karen Holton and Rob Sachs, who is now training us in how to get the information. Every Rotarian can get the information off of the Learning Center from Rotary International. Anything that you want to know about Rotary, you can get that information yourself. It's not necessary for us to bring it to you and have you sit down 8 hours in a classroom to try to learn it. And what we're going to try to do is continue to do that. We're working really hard this year to get ourselves established and really get out there. And I can tell you the team has really come together. We're now working on membership. This is membership month. How do you bring in new members? Inviting them to listen to an hour of Rotary meeting. This is a great opportunity to get new members. What they hear and what they see you do as Rotarians, I'd be willing to bet you that you will add another Rotarian. So far, and I visited 2/3 of the clubs already, and I can tell you, I'm bringing in members. I'm not bringing them in, you are. because they're listening to you. We want to work with that team, have them go out and talk to clubs that need their help and expertise in how to develop new memberships, how to keep new members. And that's what we are planning to do for the year. So we have 4 areas that we're really going to work really hard on. We haven't put the numbers behind it because I don't want to stress people out and say, oh, I have to bring in 3 new members. I can tell you right now, I have 4 already, and this is not even a month in the whole territory. 4, and I've only been in the circle here around Vancouver, Hood River, the Dalles, and a little bit on the east side, on the west side. So it's possible. We have no problem bringing new members into Rotary. We have a problem in retention, retaining members. We have to make it interesting. We have to work through the process that we know is good for us as Rotarians. There are service projects that we do that are so interesting to everybody. There are certain groups that like certain things that you do. The young people love to be outside. They love to do these things. And what we have to do is make sure that we wrap our arms around them, bring them in, help them to develop leadership skills. Nothing is impossible. We talked about it before. Rotary brings on opportunities. And this has been a perfect fit for us to start this year. And as I said, I'm only a short distance in it, but I find it very accommodating to visit clubs and have them tell me what they are doing. They're so excited. They're so excited about some of the things that they are doing. And I thought that it would be a downer. I could not have been so wrong. I walked into clubs and they are so excited by telling me about the projects they're doing, the calls they are making, the service projects that they have, delivering books, delivering food, planning to clean up a street, planning to paint a post or something of that sort, putting in new peace poles, working with groups to help to get our young people who can't go on the youth exchange, giving them projects to do here. Maybe to take a group of our kids and talk to them about the projects that they have already done. These are things that we can do here locally, and it is absolutely, absolutely exciting to see it happen. I had asked club members before to tell me, I know why I joined Rotary and I know why I'm staying. And I'd like to see President Ruth, if it's possible, if you might unmute 1 or 2 or 3 people to tell me why did they join Rotary and why did they stay? And I just want to listen because I want to confirm what I've been hearing. And if the Portland Club, which is one of the largest, and somebody might tell me, oh, it's the largest, but it's one of the largest. The folk in Portland, the Portland Club, are the same as the folk out in Hood River. Why did you join and why did you stay? If it's possible, Ruth, can I have 3 responses at least?
Absolutely, District Governor Joe. If you could either raise your hand physically in your screen or put your name in the chat and let us know, why did you join Rotary and why do you stay? Any volunteers? I'm looking for hands here. Jim Flood, please.
Hi, Jim.
Jim, go ahead.
Joe, kind of like you, I did successfully unmute, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I can hear
Joe, like you, I joined Rotary in Tucson for the first time, just for the business connections that work there. Found out fairly quickly, though, that if you join just for that reason, you won't last long. And then I stayed in Rotary because of the friendships and the good that I felt that I was able to be part of.
Good. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Ruth, I'll go next if that's okay. Oh, and then Terry Goldman, I think, had his hand up. Is that right, Terry? Yeah. I joined Rotary in '77, 3 years ago. And the club was 700 members, and it was very prestigious. And I got to be truthful that some of my desire was that, but also it was.
Terry, you volunteered.
Oh, am I? Oh, okay. But also, my grandfather was president of the downtown club. My uncle and my father were also members. So there was a family tradition and a prestigious element to it. What I learned very, very quickly is I went from a truck stop downtown with a tie on. I learned how cool it really was and how much I learned at the weekly meetings. And then as I got involved in committees and so forth, I got to know the people and became friends with many and enjoyed the work and stay in Rotary for that reason. And the fact that it's the world's largest, most prestigious humanitarian organization.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Al.
I guess I'm next. District Governor Joe, my name's Terry Goldman.
Terry.
I'm a new returning member. I was a member for several years, and I first became a member because former District Governor Danielle Banks held her district governor's conference at a hotel I worked at, and I attended much of the conference. Danielle and I had been friends for many years, and Warren as well. And I just remember sitting in the conference being so impressed with these amazing individuals who were putting service before self, and the just unconditional way that speaker after speaker and Rotarian after Rotarian talked about ways they were serving their communities, from eradicating polio to helping with domestic violence solutions locally here in Portland. Just every experience that I heard called at my heart and said, you need to join this organization, and I shortly did thereafter. I had to leave last year due to work, but I was able to return in June, and I'm just thrilled. And I'm back because I love the work that we do as Rotarians, and I'm committed to be a Rotarian for life. Not leaving again.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it.
District Governor Joe, I'm Phil Levinson.
Hi, Phil.
Nice to have you with us.
Thank you, Phil.
I joined Rotary because I was ordered to. I came to Oregon to the Scottish Rites Masonic organization. Dave Johnson was a member of the club, district governor, president of the club. So the Scottish Rites principal charity were clinics for kids with speech and language disorders. I started their program in Oregon, and Dave said, I think it's a good idea if you join Rotary. So I really didn't feel like I had much of a choice. And I've really not been not the kind of person who ever wants to join any organization, kind of like to be pretty independent. But I got into Rotary in August of 1981 and loved it. And the first thing I did in the club was I signed up for a committee that was the committee that did investigations of organizations that applied for grants from our charitable trust. Mm-hmm. And that was my way of learning about the city of Portland and what went on. And so I have gotten so much more back from Rotary by the good that I've seen Rotary do than I've ever given. And I'm committed for life.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have, is that it? Should we go on, or can I just stop now? I've heard it, and I hear the success, and I hear the lifers in the group. And I think that's what I've been hearing a lot of. I think that when I first joined Rotary, I wanted to know, what are these people selling? Because everybody was so enthusiastic about what was going on in Rotary. And sometimes you step back and you wonder, do I have to drink this Kool-Aid, or can I just sort of listen to them and see what's going on? If you stay in it for a while, though, you understand that it is genuine. And everybody in it, sort of like you feel, it's a life thing situation. And the first club that I went to, I was shocked. The lady told me, she said, you know, my husband died, and my family was this Rotary club. took care of me, helped me, nursed me back to health. I will be a Rotarian for the rest of my life. Thank you, family. And everybody in the club, it was almost like we had having tears going. But that is what I see a lot of right now is that, and I wanted to hear that from this club, which is a larger base club than some of the smaller clubs, but the information is genuine all over. And I really do appreciate hearing this story. So thank you so much for all of you who are sharing. And I'm sorry, I don't want to hold this up because I don't want to have you guys here after 1, because I don't want anybody calling, have their boss calling and say, I was at a Rotary meeting and this speaker kept talking and talking and talking. So we're going to tamper down here a little bit. I'd just say to you that Rotary isn't changing, even though we have a new year coming, and even we are doing new things. You know, we're working on the diversity, equity, and inclusion factor now, but Rotary has always been there. It's been there way before this time. So what we want to do is get folk talking, and we want them to share their stories and listen to one another, and we can make this world a better place. I am for sure that Rotary is a part of us. It's a new year, but it's not new ideas. I mean, we're just continuing on the things that we always knew that Rotary was a part of. The journey toward a world free of polio is our #1 aspect, a prospect. We want to make sure that Rotary is a place where all of our members are included, no matter what race, color, national origin, sex, or sexual identity, from the socioeconomic status. We want to seize the opportunity, the potential in our lives to make this district one of the best. Within each one of us, we know what Rotary means to us. And I've heard a few of the stories already, and I'm sure there's a lot more. We want to build our future and continue to honor our past. We're not going to change what Rotary is. I live my life every day about is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? If I get a no out of any one of those statements, I stop and I start again. We know it is what we do that will help to grow and change this world, not the name of Rotary. It's what we do. And I want to thank each and every one of you for what you're doing and what you will do, because this is going to be a wonderful year. And all the things that we have going and all the uncertainties around us, one certainty is Rotary is here and Rotary will be here if all of us hang together and work together to move forward. Thank you, President Ruth, and I am back in your hands. Thank you.
Let us all give District Governor Joe a virtual round of applause.
Thank you.
And I think we have time for 2 questions. If anyone would like to raise their hand. Gary, is that you raising your hand or applauding? If you would like to ask a question, please put it in the chat. Any questions for District Governor Joe?
Chris Ackerman has one.
So am I unmuted?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I'm going to ask the same question that I asked Joe last night when we were meeting with the New Generations Club. And the question is, how do we communicate to Rotary members? You know, Joe's talked about polio and what's been going on there, but how can the district do a better job of letting Rotary members know about all the things that Rotary does? I mean, Al is a huge leader in the international focus group for peace, but there are other Rotary focus groups that are working on international projects, and we don't do a good job of communicating that knowledge. And the other aspect that very few Rotarians are aware of is the affinity groups. If you ride a bike, there are a group of Rotarians that do very interesting bike rides around the world. If you sail a yacht or play tennis or play golf, there are Rotary groups. One of the guys from the Clackamas Club was able to play at St. Andrews on his way back from the International Convention in Hamburg because the Rotary Golf Group had set up a program. So there are all these things that allow you to connect on a much bigger scale, and we don't communicate that well. How can we do that better?
Well, thanks, Chris, for the question. And as we talked a little bit last evening, I think one of the ways is by your communicating that information to us. And what we are trying to do is to have our training team include some of these items in their training modules, talking about how you can get additional information about Rotary besides sitting in the room and talking about it. What we want to do is direct them to Rotary International websites. We want to be able to foster and maybe pick a couple of those groups. And I was telling you last night that I one day was at home and I wanted to read something interesting. I picked up the Rotary International. I went on the website and I was looking at these clubs that you could belong to. And maybe it was just before convention that you could belong to and you could meet up at the convention. And one of them was, what do we call it? I think it was RAG, Rags. And I was intrigued because what in the world is this all about? So I got to learn a little bit more about it. And then I scrolled through the whole website. And there were so many different things that I could learn about. Microcredit. I think I was talking to Neil about that when I first joined Rotary. That was my passion. It's going through and looking at there are clubs out there. There are certain organizations out there that you could join and you don't have to ever go there. You can do like we're doing right now. So what we want to try to do is add that into part of our training program and try to open up the avenues for Rotarians, open up our ears. Rotary is an organization that we need additional information and we want to grow continuously. And as you were saying, Chris, a lot of people don't know about it. So if we can start maybe in our orientation, start adding that information that talks about, if you want to know more, this is how you get it. So we're gonna put that on our agenda and try to see if we can start that avenue. We won't make it this time, but we will. I mean, we won't make it all the way through, but at least we can start the information going. So thank you for the question.
Wes, did you have a question? You'll need to unmute yourself.
I had just had a thought about why I joined Rotary, but
it's good.
So, but not a question. Do you want to hear?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first reason was I was asked to. Second reason was I just see Rotary as a leverage device that I can, through my membership and contributions to Rotary, accomplish, I don't know how many times more than I could as an individual. Mm-hmm. And then the fellowship. But I didn't join Rotary until it admitted women. And because well, for one thing, I thought that Rotary was not living up to the four-way test when they say, is it fair to all concerned? Because, I couldn't see how it could be fair to all concerned when women couldn't join. And I think that we've seen in our club that the results are just overwhelmingly positive. I think the day the first woman entered our club, it improved and was able to do more. So anyway, I remained a member for the original reason that I thought it was able to do good in the world very effectively. But then the relationships were something that I really appreciate.
Thank you, Wes. And thank you for that appreciation of the women in our club as district governors, as presidents, and now even as the first female president of Rotary International. We're very, very excited about that. Thank you again, District Governor Joe. Next week, we'll hear from Nike Green, Director for the Office of Youth Violence Prevention in Portland. And this meeting will once again be live via Zoom at noon on Tuesday. So as we close, I'd like to thank you again, Jackie, for your reflection today. Thank you, Chris, for your warm introduction of our district governor. And once again, thank you, Joe, for your inspiring words, particularly about our priorities to rid the world of polio, to grow our membership in diversity, to enhance Rotary's impact globally and locally, and to strengthen our Rotary brand. And just a reminder, please help define our club's path in advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now is the time to put our words into action. If you would like to join a conversation to discuss next steps about our club's commitment to DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, please contact Corinne by tomorrow, August 12th. And now as we enter into a new Rotary week, please join me in opening the doors of opportunity for healing, for recovery, and for peace building. As Rotarians, we are here to make our world healthier, more sustainable, and with justice for all. Thank you all for being here, and this meeting is adjourned. Bye-bye for now.